Hey, welcome back to the Flannel Channel. I'm glad you're here. Today, we are working with PDI diesel performance parts, and we're gonna do a real world comparison from the stock stuff on my Cummins N14 and the truck that I drive every day to feed my family. And we're gonna be installing the turbo, the manifold, and we got the install kit to go with it. Thanks to PDI Performance, and we're gonna put this all to the test. So you're gonna find out along with us in real life what changes as far as our fuel mileage, exhaust gas temperatures, throttle response, things like that. So follow along with the install and then the test drives, things like that. It's gonna be interesting. Here we go. All right, so let's do a quick rundown of what you can expect when you open up your boxes from PDI. So obviously the warning label that's saying they can't sell it in California, and it's gonna have your instruction sheet. It's all very standard and predictable. Right there, you can see it's a Borg Warner, and it's gonna have our gaskets on this end down here. Inspection paint markers, everything looks awesome. So that's our turbo. They asked me which of the three different finishes that I wanted for the manifold, and I went with ceramic coat. All right, so black is an option, which is gonna start showing rusty. Ceramic coat like this, and then there's also ceramic chrome, I believe. So that would be like super shiny, like polished out. And I just wanted just the ceramic look on mine. Sorry if that cord is distracting, dangling in the shot there, but so there it is. Definitely a Cummins manifold, 3-piece. I can see the PDI logo, says Made in USA on it down there. Yeah, looks awesome. And maybe I'll open the bag up. Get an even better look at it. I want those slip joints to come apart and then everything to fall on the floor. And again, I don't know if that's showing up on camera either, but my sons that usually help me film aren't here today. I'm solo, so the cord is distracting and I'm not getting things in the shot. That's my fault, so I apologize. Ooh, it's actually really bright. Wow. It's gonna look really out of place under the hood where everything is just really ratty and rusty looking on my truck, but hey, I'm proud of that. That is awesome. Bubble pack. Yeah, I don't see any damage in shipping at all. Everything looks really, really nice. Okay. I see that there are some changes from the factory manifold. I can just by looking at it, the angles of things, the way that it's designed. That looks really, really well made, and those flanges are super thick. That is awesome. Wow. What a well-made piece there. And then our final box, this is the install kit that PDI sends, and it's got brand new boots for the ductwork with new clamps on it. Got brand new gaskets, and then we got our oil fitting adapters and new bolts there for the oil feed and the drain back. So yeah, that is awesome. Okay, so I am not going to begin the install today simply because Brian's gone. He's on a fishing trip, and so I'm going to get going on some of the other work that needs to happen this weekend, and so we're going to just take a pause for filming here. I'm going to box everything back up, and when Brian gets back from his trip, we'll do the install. All right, so after many delays, it's finally turbo day. I had weeks and weeks of being busy with truck shows and with other trucks in our fleet needing my attention on Saturdays, and I just kept putting this job off and putting it off, and I think this is going to be a perfect day for it. I did some driving this morning up in the Twin Cities. I'm now parked for the rest of the afternoon, and we have beautiful weather, and Lord willing, everything is going to cooperate and this whole job should go pretty smoothly. Knock on wood, aluminum, plastic, steel. The one thing I am worried a little bit about is my oil feed line. That's kind of weak, and if anything's going to break, I suspect it's going to be that. So I've soaked it down after going through a heat cycle of this morning. Hopefully that all cooperates. I do have a spare one on our spare N14 parts engine out in the shed, so if that breaks, I have a backup. I don't have a brand new one. We're still kind of in that parts are hard to get after the last couple of years thing, and so that's the one thing that I think might be an issue. But as far as studs and bolts, I think that's all going to cooperate. I've had this manifold off within the last year, and so that should go hopefully quite smoothly without having any issues of breaking bolts or studs. So I'm going to set up the time lapse on the camera. If you see any bees buzzing around here in the shop, it's because my boss Brian raises honeybees, and he just recently did some harvesting of that honey this weekend. Some of the equipment is moved around and it's in the corner of the shop, so some of these bees are being a little bit protective, trying to figure out what's going on. They're leaving me alone so far, but if you see them buzzing around, that's why. So all right, let's get to it. Here we go. So far it's great news. Everything is cooperating with my oil line, the drain back tube, and yeah, my clamps. Everything seems to be looking good so far and coming loose. I wanted to show you this. I knew that my turbo was worn out, but man alive, I did not know. Let me shine a light in there. I did not know it was that bad. That is really, really bad. And so when PDI reached out and said, hey, we want you to try our new manifold and turbo setup, I was like, yeah, cool, because I know mine is getting kind of tired. But wow, when you really see it up close, you start to really appreciate how bad that thing was. And yeah, tiny bit of play in there. I'm not going to get a micrometer on it or anything like that, dial indicator. But anyway, still ripping, but the part I was nervous about is doing well.
All right, so here are the part numbers that I used. That is for the turbo, Big Boss, stage 1. This is for the exhaust manifold, N14 ceramic coated and polished. And this is the install kit, right there.
All right, so what did we learn after one successful test drive? Well, we learned quite a few things, but not everything. So I'm actually gonna have the camera with me tomorrow, and we'll do a little bit more scientific kind of stuff, looking at exhaust gas temperatures, gonna be tracking my fuel mileage over the next week or two, and things like that. But after a test drive with no leaks, good sounds, good results so far, this thing spools up like mad. It buries that needle at 35, and I don't actually know how much boost this thing is making because my gauge only goes to 35. I don't know how accurate it actually is, but yeah, this thing really has some giddy up. I love it. Exhaust gas temperature is definitely cooler than it was over the last couple weeks. Ambient temperature is about 68 degrees right now. I am loaded, and I just took it on a quick 3-mile tour. Test drive kind of loop, and we'll find out more tomorrow how this thing actually behaves and things like that. But so far I'm really impressed, especially with the quality of the gaskets, the hardware, the thickness of the flanges. It's all made in America, and I think that's pretty awesome. It's not cheap chintzy stuff trying to pass itself off as quality. This is actual quality that you can see, you can feel, you can touch, and yeah, I think it's going to withstand everything that we can throw at it. So that's it for tonight. I gotta put some tools away, clean up the shop a little bit. We're gonna be starting tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. but once the sun comes up, I'll be taking some video of us driving. You can hear it spool up a little bit, and we'll get a better feel for actual real world testing, trying to be as scientific as we can, comparing apples to apples and what actually changed on this thing. All right, let me give you guys a quick real life look at my gauges as we're cruising along. Loaded. My tack hasn't worked in years, so don't worry about that. We're not paying any attention to that. But 80,000 pounds, cruise control set at 70 miles an hour. Ambient air temp is 88 degrees. Exhaust gas temp right now is right around 600, going up, slight incline. Fuel temp's looking really good. Boost is sitting right at 35. Probably continue to climb as we crest the hill, but all the way up the hill, steady 35, and now we just crested the hill. So, yeah, I'm really happy with this thing. We're just gonna kind of keep an eye on fuel mileage, things like that, as the next week or two progress. But all in all, I'm really impressed. Throttle response seems better. Jake brake seems a little bit more crisp, a little more snap to the jakes, and yeah, that exhaust gas temp is definitely lower by 50 to 100 degrees for sure. And I know my ambient temp probably isn't showing up because it's digital, but 87, 88 degrees. So we'll climb one more little hill here with the cruise control on, so I'm not wide open. I'm just letting the ECM control my speed and the throttle. Yeah, seems to spool right up and keep everything right where it belongs. I do notice it's a little bit easier to keep a steady speed up some of these slight hills and stuff like that with the load on. The turbo and the manifold are definitely more efficient than my old beat up garbage one was, for sure. Love it. So there we have it. It's been on the truck for 2 weeks, working now. That's why you'll see it's starting to rust just a little bit on the surface, and it's obviously getting a little bit dirty, but I'm impressed with the finish, staying the look that it has. It really hasn't been discolored or anything like that, so that's a win. It's actually the shiniest thing under the hood, and I'm not proud of anything else under the hood of my truck. I mean, it's pretty gnarly. But real world testing, I'm impressed with the throttle response, with the snappiness that the Jakes seem to have, and the fuel mileage took a little bit of a bump up as well, which I was expecting a slight increase, and it did. It went up about 0.25. So I'll show the math on that, but I just averaged the 2 weeks before we swapped the turbo and the manifold on, and then averaged the 2 weeks afterwards, because I'm trying to compensate for changes in weather, wind, loads, things like that. So that's why I'm taking averages 2 before and 2 weeks after. So anyway, if you're in the market for getting a turbo or a manifold yourself, I suggest PDI. I think it's awesome. I want to say thank you to PDI for giving us a chance to test out some of their stuff. So as far as the quality, I'm really impressed with how this stuff is manufactured. Nice big wide flanges, and looks like quality hardware. It's got good, you know, beef to it, and nothing's cheap or chintzy. I can tell that they didn't cheap out on any of that kind of stuff. So if you guys are in the market for a turbo or a manifold, I'm going to highly suggest PDI. So thank you again to PDI for letting us try this out, and thank you guys for watching this episode. Hopefully you found it interesting, and I just want to thank every one of you for following along on day-to-day kind of stuff that's happening in my world. And if you're interested in some merch that helps support some of the other projects that we have going in the shop coming up pretty soon, we got some exciting announcements coming out as well. So head on over to GoShineOn.com if you want to get yourself a hoodie or a t-shirt. And we're also looking into getting some hats, some stickers, things like that, and so you can continue to support the channel. So if you like what you're seeing, you know what to do. You don't need me to ask you to click and the thing with the boops and the bleeps and the, yeah, anyway. Thanks so much, everybody. Peace and grease.